The camouflage section of the engineer board undertook the partial concealment of Battery Winthrop at Fort Heath, Massachusetts, to test techniques and materials for the concealment of large existing seacoast emplacements, and to train key personnel of the Coast Artillery Corps so that they would be able to undertake concealment measures at the various coast defense installations. Battery Winthrop consists of three 12-inch disappearing guns. The guns are mounted in the now obsolete concrete-type emplacements, and the battery buildings are, for the most part, standard cantonment buildings. Suffolk Downs racetrack west of the fort a breakwater pointing directly at the battery position and Boston Airport to the southwest are landmarks indicating the general location of the fort and limit the effectiveness of the camouflage project. The concrete emplacements and regular earth embankment are very conspicuous when viewed from the air. There is nothing in the neighborhood which resembles them. The buildings on the fort bear no resemblance to the residential section near the battery. The concealment plan adopted was to change the appearance of the fort so that it would resemble the nearby residential section, to deceive the enemy as to the exact location and nature of the battery installation. This would force him to resort to area bombing rather than precision bombing of specific installations. The first step was to paint the buildings to match the surrounding homes. To do this rapidly, a portable paint sprayer was used. This is standard engineer equipment. The frames of the doors and windows are covered with Osnaburg during painting so that the buildings, when repainted, would have contrasting window and door trim, as in the nearby residential section. The paint spray gun is a very rapid and efficient means of applying paint to large surfaces. And the Osnaburg provides a simple and effective protection for the trim. The roof surfaces were also painted to conform to the nearby buildings. Although the limited time allotted to the school did not allow completion of the landscaping program, a limited number of trees were transplanted for the instruction of the students. The trees were well guided to resist the heavy winds prevalent at this position, and the trunks were protected with burlap where they came in contact with the guy wires in accordance with standard procedure. In some positions, it was not possible to plant real trees because no earth existed. So dummy trees were constructed for these places and produced a good match with real foliage. This is a view of the rear of the gun emplacements before camouflage. All personnel were afforded an opportunity to study the plans prepared for concealment so that they would be familiar with the use of plans for the concealment of their own units. Four 36 by 44-foot fishnets were laced together to form a single net approximately 75 by 90 feet. This net was used over the gun itself and was mounted so that it could be quickly removed. A fishnet of this size presents considerable problems in construction and erection. Field expedients were used in the preparation of the garnishing to train the personnel so that they would not require special equipment for their own installations. This method of cutting garlands of Osnaburg is simple and relatively fast. The cut garnishing is in strips, approximately 2 inches wide by 60 inches long. The men, on the average, took 1 minute to weave each strip into the net. When woven, each strip covered approximately 1 square foot. It is usually best to support a net in vertical position for weaving. An electric hammer was used to drill holes in the concrete to anchor the net supporting standards. All work in the preparation of materials was performed by members of the Camouflage School using standard commercial materials easily obtainable. The men were rotated in the different details so that each group had a chance to work on every job. This procedure increased the time required above that for skilled specialists, but the training was of great value, since these men will be able to instruct members of their organizations in any or all of the problems encountered in erecting large-scale camouflage structures. Steel pipe was the principal structural material because of its availability, low cost, and ease of fabrication. Oxyacetylene welding was used in fabricating some parts of the frames. Accuracy in layout was stressed. The electric arc process was also used to give the men experience in both welding techniques. For this type of work, the process selected will depend principally on the availability of the equipment and the training of the operators. The oxyacetylene torch was used as a heating means in the fabrication of U-bolts. While this is a relatively expensive heating method, it is convenient and requires less skill than the operation of the conventional blacksmith's forge.